There is a cell inside your body that, once it forms, is expected to stay with you for your entire lifetime without ever being replaced. Yet only a short distance away, another cell is constantly being renewed and could be completely replaced before the end of this week. Even though these two cells live under completely different timelines, they both depend on the same biological process to survive. That process is known as autophagy. What makes it fascinating is that it operates in dramatically different ways depending on the type of cell involved. Autophagy literally means self-eating, but that name barely captures what it actually does. The process was carefully uncovered through the groundbreaking work of Japanese scientist Yoshinori Ohsumi, whose discoveries earned him the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. At its core, autophagy functions as the cell's recycling program. It identifies worn-out proteins, damaged organelles, and other cellular components that are no longer useful, packages them for disposal, breaks them apart, and recycles those building blocks to create new structures. Every cell in your body performs some form of this maintenance. What most explanations leave out is that the phrase "some form" is incredibly important. Autophagy isn't a single, identical process happening everywhere. The same basic machinery behaves very differently depending on the organ. In the brain, it works like a non-stop maintenance crew that can never afford to stop. In the gut, it supports a tissue where cells are constantly being replaced, giving it an entirely different purpose. By the end of this video, you'll see why one biological term can describe systems that operate so differently, and why understanding that difference matters for many of today's most common chronic diseases. The brain and the gut may use the same molecular tools, but they have completely different relationships with time. The key to understanding the brain starts with one remarkable fact: most neurons never divide. Once these nerve cells finish developing early in life, they remain with you for decades. In practical terms, the neuron you have today is usually the very same physical cell that was created during development. Compare that with skin cells, which are replaced every few weeks, or red blood cells, which are routinely renewed every few months. Neurons don't have that luxury. They must continue functioning while carrying the damage that naturally accumulates over a lifetime because there isn't a fresh replacement waiting in line. Scientists tested just how important this is through two independent studies published in Nature. In one study, researcher Masaki Komatsu and his team genetically engineered mice so their central nervous system lacked a gene called ATG7, which is essential for the autophagy process. Around the same time, another team led by Taichi Hara removed a different but closely related gene called ATG5, again only within nervous tissue. Despite targeting different genes, the outcome was strikingly similar. The mice developed abnormal limb-clasping behavior, lost coordination, and experienced severe damage to neurons. In Komatsu's study, there was widespread loss of nerve cells in both the cerebral and cerebellar cortex, and none of the mice survived beyond 28 weeks. What made these findings especially important was that these animals weren't carrying disease-causing mutant proteins or any known neurological disorder. Researchers simply disabled the cell's normal cleanup system. That alone was enough to destroy healthy neurons and dramatically shorten the animal's lifespan. This revealed something fundamental about the brain. Autophagy isn't an emergency response that's activated only when something goes wrong. It's a continuous housekeeping system operating every moment of every day. Because neurons are essentially irreplaceable, they rely on this constant maintenance to remain functional for decades. Now compare that with the intestine, where the entire strategy changes. The cells lining your gut are among the fastest renewing cells in the human body. At the bottom of tiny structures called intestinal crypts are stem cells that divide non-stop. As new cells are produced, older ones are gradually pushed upward until they eventually leave the lining altogether. Within only a few days, much of your intestinal surface has been completely renewed. That rapid turnover completely changes the role of autophagy. Instead of preserving individual cells for a lifetime, it helps maintain the quality and function of tissue that's constantly rebuilding itself. One specialized cell in this environment is the Paneth cell. These cells sit near the intestinal stem cells inside the crypts and produce antimicrobial peptides stored within secretory granules. Think of them as chemical guardians that help control which bacteria can safely live inside your intestines and which cannot. Research led by Ken Cadwell examined both mouse models and intestinal tissue from human patients. The team discovered that an autophagy-related gene called ATG16L1 plays a direct role in building and releasing those protective granules inside Paneth cells. When this gene wasn't functioning properly, the granules formed abnormally and couldn't perform their job effectively. Interestingly, variations in the same ATG16L1 gene have also been linked to an increased risk of Crohn's disease in humans. It is one of more than 30 genetic locations researchers have associated with this inflammatory bowel disease. So while neurons depend on autophagy to preserve a single cell for an entire lifetime, the gut uses much of the same machinery for a completely different purpose. Here, autophagy helps regulate the ongoing interaction between your body and the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, all within cells that are destined to be replaced only days after they're created. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which surprised you more, the fact that your neurons can last an entire lifetime, or that your gut lining is almost completely renewed every few days? Let me know in the comments. I read them, and your suggestions often inspire topics for future videos. There's another detail that often gets overlooked whenever people talk about autophagy. It's easy to imagine it as one single process working everywhere, but that's not actually the case. Scientists have identified several different forms of autophagy, and two of the best understood are macroautophagy and chaperone-mediated autophagy, commonly called CMA. These aren't simply different names for the same thing. They rely on completely different mechanisms inside the cell, each carrying out cellular recycling in its own unique way. Macroautophagy is the form most people are referring to when they mention autophagy. It's the large-scale cleanup system. A cell surrounds damaged material, whether that's a worn-out organelle or a buildup of misfolded proteins, with a double membrane. This creates a bubble-like structure called an autophagosome, which transports the unwanted material to the lysosome, where it is broken down and recycled. This is the same process that the Komatsu and Hara mouse experiments focused on, and it takes place in nearly every type of cell throughout the body, including those in the brain and the gut. Chaperone-mediated autophagy, or CMA, works in a completely different way. Rather than collecting large amounts of cellular waste at once, it carefully selects one protein at a time. A specialized chaperone protein recognizes a target protein by identifying a short molecular sequence known as a KFERQ motif. Once identified, that protein is delivered to a receptor called LAMP2A on the surface of the lysosome, where it is unfolded and transported inside one molecule at a time for breakdown. This highly selective process was first described by researcher Ana Maria Cuervo, and it plays an especially important role in neurons. Several proteins strongly linked to neurodegenerative diseases, including alpha-synuclein, are mainly cleared through this pathway. That makes CMA particularly important for maintaining healthy brain cells over a lifetime. So, what actually happens when a neuron's autophagy system breaks down? Looking back at those same mouse studies, researchers noticed that damaged proteins didn't simply spread throughout the cell. Instead, they gathered into dense clusters known as inclusion bodies. These structures were filled with proteins marked by a molecule called ubiquitin, which normally labels cellular waste for disposal. The problem was that without functional autophagy, the disposal system never arrived. As time passed, these protein clumps became larger and more numerous. What's particularly interesting is that this mirrors what scientists have observed in human brains. Protein aggregates are one of the defining characteristics of disorders such as Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. It's important to understand the difference between the evidence, though. In mice, scientists directly disabled autophagy genes and clearly demonstrated that this caused protein accumulation, neuron loss, and a much shorter lifespan. Human studies are observational. Researchers consistently find these protein aggregates in diseased brains, but they have also detected similar deposits in some older individuals who never developed a diagnosed neurological disease. Even so, one important principle remains clear. Unlike many other tissues, neurons cannot simply be replaced. If waste builds up inside one of these cells, that damage stays trapped within the same neuron for the rest of its life. There isn't a fresh replacement ready to take over, the way there is in the lining of the intestine. Whatever accumulates remains inside that exact cell, with nowhere else for it to go. Now shift your attention back to the gut, where autophagy takes on an entirely different responsibility. Every part of your intestinal lining exists in constant contact with trillions of bacteria. Most of these microbes are harmless, and many are incredibly helpful, assisting with digestion and producing substances your own body cannot make on its own. But mixed into that enormous microbial community are harmful bacteria capable of causing infection. Occasionally, one of those pathogens slips through the protective barrier and enters a gut cell. At that point, autophagy changes roles. Instead of acting as a maintenance system, it becomes part of the immune defense. This specialized version is known as xenophagy. When an invading bacterium enters the cell, it is tagged so the cleanup machinery can recognize it. Sometimes the tag is ubiquitin, while in other cases it's a sugar-binding protein called galectin-8. These molecular markers recruit the same autophagosome-building machinery used for routine cellular recycling. The difference is that the target is no longer damaged cell material. It's a living microbe that needs to be captured and destroyed. A fascinating example involves Shigella flexneri, a bacterium responsible for severe intestinal infections around the world. Research led by Mitsunaga Ogawa showed that this bacterium has evolved a clever way to escape this defense. Normally, a protein on the surface of Shigella, called VERG, attracts the host protein ATG5, which helps trigger xenophagy. But Shigella produces another protein called ICSB. This protein competes for the same binding site on VERG, attaching first and preventing ATG5 from connecting. As a result, the autophagy response is blocked before it even begins. It's essentially a microscopic arms race taking place inside your intestinal cells, with your body and invading bacteria constantly adapting to outsmart each other. Most people never realize this battle is happening every day. This is a challenge that neurons almost never encounter. Under normal conditions, bacteria simply don't live inside healthy brain tissue. That allows neuronal autophagy to stay focused almost entirely on internal maintenance, removing damaged proteins, recycling worn-out organelles, and keeping the cell functioning properly. The gut doesn't have that luxury. Its version of autophagy must constantly distinguish between what belongs inside the cell and what represents a dangerous invader. It has to make rapid decisions about whether something should be tolerated or eliminated. Very few other tissues in the body face that kind of continuous balancing act. Here's another fact that surprises many people. Although your brain makes up only about 2% of your total body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of all the oxygen your body uses while you're at rest. This estimate comes from a widely referenced analysis by neuroscientists David Atwell and Simon Laughlin. Nearly all of that oxygen supports mitochondria, the tiny structures inside neurons that generate the energy needed for every electrical signal your brain produces. But producing that much energy has consequences. Mitochondria gradually wear out over time, and damaged ones must be identified and removed through another specialized process called mitophagy. In neurons, this is especially challenging because of their unique shape. A single neuron can extend a long projection called an axon, stretching far away from the cell body. Mitochondria located anywhere along that lengthy structure still need to be monitored, repaired, or removed when they stop functioning properly, even if they're located a great distance from the cell's central machinery. Gut epithelial cells face nothing like this problem. They're relatively small, compact, and structurally simple. Since they're naturally replaced every few days, damaged mitochondria rarely have enough time to accumulate into a major issue before the entire cell is discarded and replaced. So the brain spends decades maintaining extremely complex, energy-demanding cells with intricate shapes, while the gut operates on a much shorter cycle where replacing the entire cell is often easier than maintaining it indefinitely. Another interesting difference appears when nutrients become scarce. Autophagy doesn't activate throughout the body all at once. Different organs respond at different speeds and with different levels of intensity. One study, led by Akiko Kuma, examined newborn mice immediately after birth, when they were suddenly separated from the constant nutrient supply provided through the placenta. Researchers found that autophagy increased in different tissues at different rates, instead of switching on uniformly across the entire body. Although this study focused on newborn animals rather than fasting adults, it demonstrated an important biological principle. Individual organs don't all receive or react to nutrient shortages in exactly the same way or at the same time. The brain also faces an additional challenge that the gut doesn't: the blood-brain barrier. This highly selective protective barrier carefully regulates, molecule by molecule, exactly what is allowed to enter brain tissue from the bloodstream.